For the first time, Apple has two large-sized iPhones to pick from, the flagship iPhone 14 Pro Max and the slightly cheaper iPhone 14 Plus, and both of them have excellent battery life and look extremely similar. So which one should you choose? Hey guys, Vic here with PhoneArena, and the biggest motivation to go with the Plus rather than the Pro Max is just to save $200. Now $200 is no small difference, but also it's not a huge difference. If this was a budget phone, that would mean a lot, but the 14 Plus starts at $900. Which is still a lot of money. You're still buying an expensive phone. So I think most people who are willing to buy a $900 phone would probably not hesitate to spend $200 more on the 14 Pro Max. But leaving price aside, there is another big difference that you notice the moment you pick both phones and use them side by side. The iPhone 14 Plus is just so much lighter than the Pro Max. And this is something I didn't really expect, and you don't really appreciate the difference until you actually get to hold both phones. The 14 Pro Max weighs nearly 8.5 ounces, while the iPhone 14 Plus is just slightly above 7 ounces. So the Plus is nearly 15% lighter. So I personally carry my phone in my pocket most of the time, and the heavier phone like the Pro Max is just incredibly uncomfortable, and the Plus just feels a lot better. But that is just about where all the arguments in favor of the iPhone 14 Plus end, because for all else, the iPhone 14 Pro Max is just a better phone. So the big difference in actually using these two phones has got to be just how choppy 60Hz on the 14 Plus looks in comparison to the buttery smooth scrolling on the 14 Pro Max. 120Hz ProMotion makes a big difference, and it feels downright luxurious compared to 60Hz. Now, I am far less concerned about the difference in processors. In the Geekbench benchmark, the iPhone 14 Plus is nearly 10% slower in single-core and 20% slower in multi-core performance. And similarly in graphics, but you have to be a gamer playing Genshin Impact at max settings to actually notice this. However, if you hold on to your phone for 3 or 4 years, I think it's nice to have that extra headroom in the Pro Max, even if it's not immediately noticeable in daily use. Alright, what about the battery life? Now both phones have the same battery size at about 4325 mAh, but Apple says that the 14 Plus has the longest battery life in an iPhone ever. Well, maybe, but if so, the difference with the Pro Max is tiny. We tested battery life on the two by playing the same video playlist over a Wi-Fi connection, same resolution, same screen brightness, and both phones scored around 11 hours. The Plus actually scored a few minutes less than the Pro Max. Now, for what it's worth, both are about the same in terms of battery life. But don't misunderstand me, this is a great thing. I averaged 2 days between charges on both, which is more than any other phone I can think of, and if I use my phone less, I can even stretch this to 3 days. Great stuff. Charging is just a tiny bit slower on the 14 Plus, but you probably won't even notice. A 15-minute top-up gives you 26% charge on the 14 Plus and 29% on the 14 Pro Max, while if you top up for 30 minutes, it's essentially the same. You get 54% on the 14 Plus and 55% on the Pro Max. And of course, both phones support MagSafe wireless charging. Alright, but what about those cameras? Now, here's where it gets tricky. The 14 Pro Max has a brand new 48 megapixel sensor for the main camera, but unless you're a professional, I think you probably don't need to worry about that too much. So the default 12 megapixel photos turn out about the same on both phones, and I don't see a difference in 4K video quality either. So the majority of photos and videos from both phones look the same. However, if you take pictures of people or pets or portrait photos, you need to have that zoom camera. And the Pro Max gives you both 2x and 3x, which is just perfect for those portrait shots. I use it all the time, and most of my best photos are actually taken on a 2x lens. And this is a bigger deal than it might seem, so that is why for photographers the Pro Max makes a big difference. And of course, for zooming on things or in video, having that 3x lens is also very nice. As for 48 megapixel RAW files, I do think they look stunning, but with each file taking often 100 megabytes and with the need to edit each file to even share it, It's a feature for enthusiasts, not the average users. Alright, as you can see, the 14 Pro Max has some significant advantages over the 14 Plus, but a few of them are actually new features. And this brings me to the elephant in the room, and that is the iPhone 13 Pro Max. It has the same 120Hz ProMotion screen, has the same excellent battery life, and only a slightly slower processor. And here's the kicker, it can often be found for a great price that is very close to the 14 Plus. So definitely do consider it, it is absolutely worth it. So at the end of the day, it's clear to me that the iPhone 14 Plus is kind of a victim to a bigger transition happening with Apple's iPhone strategy right now. It used to be that Apple really wanted to sell you an iPhone. And it used to be that Apple made all new iPhones the best iPhones. Even the vanilla iPhone models would get the newest chips and features. This year, Apple has decided to change that and actively make the vanilla models, like the iPhone 14 Plus, less capable, while selling them at the same prices. So this for me is clearly an upsell. Apple no longer wants you to buy just any new iPhone, it wants you to buy its most expensive iPhone. So it is doing everything it can to make the cheaper options a bit less viable. The iPhone 14 Plus is just one such cheaper option. And I think that is the biggest reason why sales of the iPhone 14 Plus have failed expectations. It's just a tough sell. There is, however, one small group of people that I can recommend the 14 Plus to. Those who want a big and lightweight iPhone, and those who are ready to compromise a bit on the camera too. Now, if that sounds like you, the 14 Plus will certainly not disappoint. For all others though, get a 14 Pro Max or get a 13 Pro Max and you'd have spent your dollar much wiser. Alright guys, these are our 2 cents on these new iPhones. So what do you think about the 14 Plus? Would you even consider getting one, or was it a mistake for Apple to even launch this product? Let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you think. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you want to see the videos first. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.